Yo, people, lateness is greatness. And of course, welcome back to All You Can Eat Chelsea. You already know what time it is. It's time for another show. And I must say, so much drama in the world. You would hope Chelsea would just settle the hell down and allow us to breathe for 90 minutes and allow us to take rest. But no, they don't. They must add to it and make it more stressful, of course. So, Younes, how are you doing, sir?
We don't do that at Charity FC, Heart Attack FC, now Bipolar FC. We don't do that here. You know, you're right, man. It's stressing. What's obviously with what's going on in the world. We were talking before we came on there and all that, but now Chelsea add fuel to the fire. Yeah, crazy. Apart from that, I'm good, mate.
My whole world is exploding, but apart from all that, great.
All right.
Miz, bro, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling all right. Yeah, it's a bit topsy-turvy. I think Thomas Tuchel himself post-match, he's starting to get a bit annoyed. He's getting a bit annoyed. Yes. And this is when I feel, when your gaffer starts to feel a bit iffy, I think we need to be very careful what we say today. We need to be very careful. But then again, I'm feeling dangerous again. So I don't know. I'm a bit bipolar as well. So we'll see what happens.
I definitely sense what you're saying. Like, Tuchel, up until this point, has had no reason to stress, really. Everything's been going pretty smooth sailing. You could say this is probably his first rough patch as a Chelsea manager. Now, if this, and again, for me, it would be absolutely outrageous. If this even results, like in the next few months, in the Mazzolini that we've seen before, which is a sacking, I will, do you know what? I'll probably start supporting Chelsea reserves or some shit because I'll be like, this is just ridiculous. Like, you can't, no, this man is untouchable. So, rough patch is what I'm going to continue to call it and not even delve into Chelsea history. But
it would have to be something catastrophic, like go on a 5-game losing streak from here on in for him to then start getting worried about his job. And then some more losses after that. I can't expect no. With Lamp's time last season, you could see, I think this guy's in trouble.
It was the whole squad as well. Like, it was anything he done went wrong. I think once we get these injuries back, players that are injured back, we'll be all right. But Thomas Tuchel, man, talking about that press conference,
he was mad.
He went full Jose at one point. You remember, like, years ago, Jose was like, he got asked a question and he was looking out the window and he was like, I don't want to be strong with you because you're a nice guy.
I loved his response. He goes, I like you and I appreciate you've given your opinion, but I don't like it.
He said the same thing. He was like, I don't want to be strong with you because you are a nice guy. And I was like, oh my God, CT.
I was like, oh shit, here we go, baby.
He was fuming, and rightfully so. Everything he said, I fully agreed with.
But he's got to be careful, man, because these journalists, they've now got under his skin, I think. Yeah. He just needs to calm down and get back on it, because what they're going to do now, next press conference before the Leeds game, they'll pinch there again, because now they know, we got you, Thomas. We're going to now pinch you right here again. Do you know what I mean?
This is the media's favorite club. This is where all the drama takes place. They can count on a story every year. They can count on something, and it keeps them in the job. So they really don't want, Tuchel really would want to make sure, sure you're still in control of the media. I don't even know where to start with yesterday's game, man, because it was just an absolute clusterfuck of football. Like, it was a mess, an absolute mess from start to finish. Defensively, we don't seem to be able to defend anymore, which is really worrying, I must say. And there's a couple of things to delve into in terms of why that is. I think it's definitely best to start with the defense. A goal conceded of our own making against Manchester United. A goal conceded of our own making against Watford. So the complacency started to creep in, whether it's down to fitness or down to, individual contract situations, whatever. Then against West Ham, we just really defensively really collapse. And then last night, it was just, again, collapse. And I think last night was probably even worse than West Ham because we were opened up so easily at free will. The chances that Zenit were creating, they were splitting us down the middle.
Yeah.
We looked like, prime Arsenal defense. Like, it was just like there was no pushback. It was
like Lampard FC. It was like Lampard's Chelsea, mate. In defense, crazy.
If it wasn't for Kepa, we would have been dead at least 4-1 half time.
Gordon Banks. I'm gonna call him Gordon Banks because that was amazing.
Imagine we're praising Kepa after conceding 3 goals. That's how bad it was. I think we conceded, I said in my review, 18 shots we conceded.
Oh my God.
So that's a lot. Yeah.
Wow.
Zenit looked good. I mean, we looked bad, but yeah.
I was shocked with Zenit. I didn't expect them to open up so much. I didn't expect them to fly.
It was a free hit, Matisse, for them.
It was a free hit, yeah.
Yeah, it was free.
We're hearing that so much now.
It's like a cricket term. It's a free hit. Just go for it. You know what I mean?
Bloody Arsenal. This is what they do.
They're spreading. Clearly, they're spreading in numbers here. The ethos of free hit is spreading around and causing issues. But I mean, Younes, I'll start with you. Let's get straight into it. Let me not even mince my words now.
Yeah, go
Christensen, we'll start with him. And Azpilicueta. Fuck it. Contract situations. Is that because we know Malang Sarr? Look, we've spoken on this show before. We've spoken about Malang Sarr on this show.
I'm cooking him today as well. I'm cooking him as well.
I will join you on that, Miz. I will join you for that
180 heat cooking.
He's getting cooked. I like a well done as well.
Oh my God. But before I let Miz cook, all right, because I know I'm hungry 100%, so I'm ready. I'm going to start Younes with Christensen and Azpilicueta. Do you think their contract situations, which, I always made the assumption Azpilicueta's contract situation was clear and it was just on the back burner and in the background. So a lot of Chelsea fans are starting to say, actually, maybe he's starting to decline. Some people are saying finished. And this hasn't been the first time. A lot of people have always thrown that word around every year and he always bounces back. But A, do you think Azpilicueta is declining and we should maybe even not look to extend and actually start considering maybe moving on? And B, Christensen, headspace, what is going on? Do you think it's completely gone off the rails for him over there as well?
I'd only think that if they were in the same situation as Rudiger, right? This should be a lot more clearer. I think with Azpi, for example, I think it's pretty clear he will be signing a new extension, surely. Now, unless if he is leaving, but we know Azpi's not the type of guy to throw his game away. And you don't go from rubbish, like you don't go from amazing like last season or the back end of last season to rubbish now, just like that. It doesn't work like that. Sometimes players are allowed to just have a bad day at the office, right? And maybe for Azpi, specifically Azpi here, because this was his first game back as a starter for a little while, it could have been that, right? So I'm willing to cut him some slack. And I don't think he's finished, right? Is he being used as is he declining? I think he's more being used like a transitional sort of player now. He's someone that is not going to be seeing as much minutes as he did last season. He's just filling the gap like this game against Zenit where we needed someone to fill the gap. Azpi is there. That is his role now. So if he were to leave, technically for us, it's not the end of the world, right? Because there's going to come a time very soon where he's just not going to be playing anymore. So cool, right? But is he finished? No. Christensen, all I'm hearing from the club, from Tuchel, from reports, from all sorts is that, it's all good. He's about to sign. So I don't get what the problem is. Now, if it's like Rudiger, for example, who now I genuinely think is leaving, I'm in that camp now. I was hoping that, you know what, we've still got time. We've got until just the beginning of Jan. Let's try and tie him down. And we might, right? But I'm hearing that, he's already holding talks with Real Madrid. He's ready to sign a pre-contract, this, that. And I'm just like, he's gone. He's gone, I think. So if that was the case, I could understand why you could be a little unstable. But even so, that doesn't give the excuse to just put in a bad performance after bad performance. Now, Christensen, again, for him, it could just be a bad day at the office or the fact that, he doesn't have the players around him that are, bringing him that stability. again, players are allowed to have just one bad game once in a while. So for those two, I'm going to put it to that. Now, Malang Sarr, if we're going to get to that at some point, we'll let Miz do the cooking. But for Azpi and Christensen, I just think, especially Christensen yesterday, he played bad. I just think, you know what, maybe it was just one bad day. I hope, anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. I hope that's the situation as well. The only worry I would have with our defense, because our system and our defense has been flawless up until the last couple of weeks, is just the contract situation. And the more it prolongs, is it going to be a distraction? Are their heads going to turn in January with pre-contracts? And to be honest, at this point, I want Christensen to sign. I want Azpi to sign. I want Silva to sign. I want Rudiger to sign. They're not all going to sign. I think one of them's minimum going to leave. But at this point, I just want conclusions. I just want things wrapped up. So at least then they know where they're going next season or where they're staying. And then they can get back to hopefully fully focused on the task at hand, because we can't afford to lose the structure of this team, which is a defense. If this defense goes, finished. Do you know what I mean? In terms of aspirations for the season, for me, completely changes everything.
I think there's another point to mention as well, is the stability that comes to the defense. Clearly now, I think is a clear point here, comes from the midfield too.
Yeah.
And when our midfield is completely imbalanced, right, the defense are under pressure, or under more pressure than they're normally used to, because the midfield bring a certain amount of stability. They're like a line in front that you have to get past before you even come to the defense. Correct. And then before you even get to the goalkeeper, you got to pass that defense. So it's a case of wall after wall after wall. That midfield lately has been so imbalanced. It's no surprise that the defense is under more pressure. We're conceding more shots, and there's more spacing behind the defense, more spacing around the D. So I think that's got to be a focus point as well. So once we do get a stable midfield back, and these players coming back from injuries, we should be okay. We should. In defense, we should be back to normal. I hope, anyway.
I mean, Miz, I've seen you nodding there. I'm guessing you want to say something on this midfield as well, just before you cook Sa. But Barkley, turnovers, having fun in there, isn't it? And Saul and Sa all on the same side, on the left-hand side. I know both sides were awful, but, if you make, a few weak points in the team, I'm sure everybody's going to look awful at some point.
Man, there's so many people to cook in that scenario that you just talked about. Barkley, Sa, Saul, midfield. Just quickly on the midfield, before I touch on something controversial about Christensen, and I want to see what you guys have to say. Younes, you're so damn right, man. That midfield. I had someone in my live chat say, Miz, people blame Jorginho that the back three is protecting him. Maybe they need to start thinking that he's protecting the back three. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, whoa, that's
some deep shit.
like switch that around for a little bit. And you start thinking the amount of interceptions, the amount of times he's in the right space. I know a lot of people are going to say, but Miz, what about the Man United situation? What about Yeah, he's had monumental errors. But I'm talking about, think about all the times, in recent times especially, when he's not played, we've got no control of the game. We've got zero control of the game. Watford and this one against Zenit, we looked like we were going to get dragged around whichever way possible. So that's one thing we need to understand, that I know a lot of people want Declan Rice, which I still think now actually is a pretty good call, because I rather want Declan to have that Kante sort of role. So we still need Declan because Kante is never fit. And I think Declan can do that up and down sort of Kante sort of role. But we still need a Tchouaméni, I feel, because he can be the sitter. We don't have a sitter. We need someone who's going to be able to control the game. But we'll talk about the midfield down the track. But in regards to Christensen, boys, here's a controversial take. And I'm going to put the disclaimer out there. Yeah, it may be off the back of just yesterday, but hear me out, my theory behind it. Is Christensen only as good as who he is next to? I don't know if he gives me the vibe that he's actually that leader type of a defender. And I've been saying that I want this guy to sign a contract because I want him to be the leader type of defender for Chelsea for years to come. I'm not sure if he makes others better around him. I think he's good when he has Silva and Rudiger around him. But once you start giving him a Malang Sarr or a Azpilicueta has not been playing around, AC just looks pretty as good as those two. So what does it say about him? Do you know what I mean? Are you going to be a Thiago Silva that sticks in the middle and drags everyone's performances up? Or are you just going to be an individual that's only good when you have a Thiago Silva and a Rudiger next to you? So
he's a great supplement. He's a great supplement.
He's a great supplement, man. Younes is flying today.
Boom.
Boom. Yeah, he's a great supplement, but is he the main component?
Is he the glue?
Is he the glue? And I was like, dude, yesterday was your opportunity against Zenit to really show your leadership, you know? For example, I don't know if you guys remember, Chalobah against Brentford.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah. He looked more of a leader as opposed to what Christensen looked against Zenit. I know we got peppered by Brentford as well, but Chalobah was the guy in the middle. He had Sarr, and I think he had Azpilicueta. And, you know, there was a lot more communication. There was a lot more leadership about him. I think he's more of a vocal. And I think when you're that center CB, you need to be vocal, man. You can't just be a quiet guy. And you look at all the times Zenit was putting the ball through the center, and we were trying to play a high line, and there was no communication between AC, Malang Sarr, and Azpilicueta. Malang Sarr was literally next. It was inside of Christensen's pocket at times. I'm like, dude, spread out a bit. Like, you need to be on your side. And there's the gap between him and Saul was so large at times. They just found a lot of ball. And I think that's because of the positional awareness that Malang Sarr doesn't have, which we'll get to down the track. But AC needs to communicate that. Dude, you need to give it a bit of space. I got my, line covered. You spread out a little bit. So I don't know what happened there. In regards to Azpilicueta, I think the guy wants to play in the World Cup. And the only way you're going to play in the World Cup is if you play regularly. So there could be a shout. He may go. If you're not playing regularly, you're not going to make the Spanish team.
It would be his last one, wouldn't it?
It'll be his last
probably.
one.
I was just,
It'll be his last one. He's not going to make it when he's 36. He's not going to do, he's not going to be selected at that point. So...
Unless you're Thiago Silva.
Unless you're Thiago Silva. Look, and once again, people might hate me on this. Azpi is a fantastic player. He's a legend of the club. He's done some amazing, amazing things for us. Nothing can take that away. But in the last couple of seasons, I've always said Azpi, neither is he very quick. He's good defensively. But if you notice, from the 75th minute, he really starts tanking. He's panting. He's grasping on air a lot. He's getting older. And that's okay.
You're breaking Elizabeth's heart right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting older. So, those legs can't run that much anymore. That heart can't breathe as hard, can't beat as hard. So, look, Chalobah has all of a sudden has become the number one selection in that position, and rightly so. I know he's injured. And Azpi is probably thinking, I don't want him to go, though. I don't want him to go. I want him to stay at Chelsea Football Club because I feel his presence, his experience is going to be so valuable to the youngsters that are coming through. But is Azpi okay to do that? We need to understand from that perspective. He wants to probably play World Cup. If he doesn't get game time, which, let's be honest, RCB, he's not going to get it anymore. It's going to be Chalobah or Christensen, and Christensen in the middle CB as well. Azpi this season has mostly been a right wing back. And the starting right wing back is Reece James. So take it how you want to take it. I've laid you all the evidence. You make your judgment. You go and make your judgment.
I think to replace Rudiger, who's obviously going to leave, for me is Jules Koundé. That's a player that has wanted to be at his football club now for a couple of few months now. He's been screaming out that he's wanted to leave Sevilla. They couldn't get the move done. He's obviously a Chelsea target. Obviously, for me, that would be a summer deal because I think if it was a January, we'd have to use the release clause. I think obviously Chelsea would like to negotiate that down a bit. He looks like he's suited to play on the right side, which is obviously Azpi's position. Trevor, I've always said, could move across to the left. Someone who is quite aggressive and taking advantage of moving into midfield. He has played on that side last year for Lorient as well. Keep saying that. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Trevor on the left, a Koundé on the right, and a Silva Christensen in the middle. Rudiger's gone. And that's part and parcel why I want to also keep Azpi, is because I feel like if you're losing Rudiger's experience as well, and you've just got Silva, you'd probably be best placed to keep Azpi for one more year. You've already got, Malang Sarr potentially in there as well, a backup to Trev, which is not great. Maybe Levi Colwell, but again, only 18. Just for the sheer balance age-wise, I'd like Azpi, if he was obviously still performing, to continue to stay for one more year, whilst we don't lose too much at once in terms of defenders. And then maybe he goes, because Silva's also going to go as well, probably. And then we go again with more defenders coming in if we're to stick to the same formation. But obviously, Livramento's, buyback is not until 2023 anyway. So that's not, that's who I envision taking over from Azpi as well. But again, that's not a move we can make. And it's also just because we have so many other issues to sort out in the team, in terms of we need a midfielder. We need a left wing back. We probably need an attacker, because one of these attackers are probably going to get sold in terms of just behind the striker. So we're going to need to purchase quite a few positions. So it would be better placed if we didn't have to replace Azpi as well, on top of that, who really is right now just playing a backup role. And next season, could even be further down the depth chart. Now, it's tough. I think the World Cup is a brilliant point, massive point. It's something that I have now just realised, we might actually be in the mud in terms of trying to get this new deal signed, because maybe it is about the World Cup.
He'd want to play, Matisse. He'd want to play. Do you know what I mean? Or else he's not going to get selected.
Yeah, but I'm hoping, because I always thought he'd retire here. Maybe that's naive now, but I'm hoping that it's just he's refused it because maybe they haven't offered him, enough money. When I heard that Rudiger was getting offered less than what Alonso's on, I was like, fair enough, understandable. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Younes, what do you make of the whole Christensen thing? Again, with Christensen, I think 50 clean sheets out of the last 60 or something. It was like that. I just feel his mentality has come such leaps and bounds in the last year. Denmark and the Euros, and stepping in for Silva, even with Rudiger next year, to step in the Champions League final. That takes some serious mentality shift. That you can't just step into a Champions League final and not have your shit together. You have to be A1. And to come off the bench and do that is a massive thing. So I've given his mentality so much credit in the bank now. I'm hoping that, this is just a poor game. I mean, Younes, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, completely. And this is why I'm not panicking, because the point that Miz made is very relevant. When you have the players around that make you better, or, that give you assurance, it gives you confidence. When you have Rudiger next to you, or you have, Silva next to you as well, or you've got Chalobah who's playing brilliant, or if it's a Reece James that tucks in a little bit deeper, it gives you confidence. You're surrounded by players who know, who have their shit together, basically. And it's, as a player, that develops you, that makes you get better. Now, if you have players around you that don't quite know what they're doing, and you feel like you're taking more of the burden, that can affect your game. So this is why with Christensen, I would like, if, the more experience he picks up around players like a Rudiger, or, or a Silva, or even an Azpi when he's on form, hopefully turns him into the leader that he needs to become with time. Now, hopefully that happens. But regarding yesterday, I just hope it's a bad day at the office for him. It can happen. Yes, sometimes you can have the whole team that are, struggling. But in terms of an individual performance, you could just be having a bad day, and that contributes to the team as well. So I'm hoping that's the case, because Christensen isn't rubbish, and he's proven that over the last year and a half. He's not rubbish.
I don't even think Rudiger would have dealt with that situation in the middle of the back three. I really don't, because Rudiger at times has started to get exposed because of players being poor around him. Alonso versus Bowen for the second goal. Rudiger doesn't anticipate and not aggressive enough, maybe cuts inside, scores. Ruben Loftus-Cheek gives it away against Watford. Dennis the Menace onto Rudiger, darts in the box, goal. So even Rudiger can be exposed as well. I think the only defender in this squad that could deal with that onslaught and potentially survive is Thiago Silva. And we are talking about legendary status. I'm not even expecting Christensen to... that is like the pinnacle of defending. That is your top 5 in a generation defender. So I think it's a bit unfair personally for me to be saying, okay, maybe Christensen needs to get to that level. That is a ridiculous level. And when you look at the team structure, he was poor, cool, but he was in the middle of what was awful. The only person around him or near to him that was reliable was James. He was the only person that you could say had a decent game to good game in a position that he doesn't usually play. You know, getting stuck in, winning duels, etc., trying to play the ball about. Barkley was horrendous. Gave the ball away so many times. Absolutely anonymous. And again, this is why I don't want to get too harsh on James, who, yes, out of position, then playing next to a car crash, and no surprise, there's injuries. Do you know what I'm saying? There's damage limitations. Saul was leaving gaps behind him for Malang Sarr, and wasn't covering the space there. Malang Sarr was, like you said, Miz, way too narrow, wasn't getting out quick enough. He got absolutely blitzed on the right, I think, by Malcolm, just allowed him to check back into his left foot.
And his IQ is poor, Matisse.
He got twisted.
His footballing IQ is poor.
Yeah, so cooked, really. Like overdone, almost burnt, like absolutely cooked. He cooked everything was just getting cooked over there. And then on the other side, Aspie was poor, who we expect to be reliable. Callum was poor, wasn't giving him much cover either. It was like the whole, if you was to do a U, everything was just bad, like the whole thing. And then obviously in front, Barkley as well. It was just dreadful back there across the board. Only Kepa and James really back there had good games. I think everybody else, including Christensen, was just horrendous.
This is the point, and this is why, you know, I stress the imbalance in midfield is key to why we are struggling, especially with this second string team or this depth that we thought originally was actually good enough, when now we're having doubts as to whether this squad depth is actually as decent as we first thought. I mean, thankfully, it's just the depth. It's not the starting 11, but that lack of balance in midfield, and when you have so many main players in midfield that are out and you're having to play players that just don't play there. I mean, Reece James does not play there, right? Has done at youth level, but hasn't been in that role for ages. And to be fair, credit to him, with a Barkley next to him yesterday, he actually done all right, right? There were some positional errors from Reece James, but on the ball, I feel like he done a good job. Barkley let him down and let himself down and caused us so much hassle and so much space for Zenit to penetrate through. That's just automatically going to have a knock-on effect on your whole team, because that's the engine, isn't it? Your pivot or your double pivot in this system that we play is the engine of this team. When you take away the engine, what happens? The car don't turn on, right? So it's I hope that analogy works, by the way.
100%.
But they're not as good as Mrs. But this is the thing. I truly believe once we get Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic, especially those three, once they come back, and hopefully it's soon, then we'll start to get balance again. The defense will start to get shape again. The wings will be able to have a little less pressure because there'll be more focus on the middle. Zenit yesterday were good in two areas. They were good in terms of defending very narrow and packing out the numbers in midfield, causing us to have to go to the wings where we know we can just cross the ball and then get it to Lukaku, who's by himself. You know, and whenever they were attacking, they were able to penetrate onto our wings because they knew that we were susceptible in those areas, and there was this massive space that they could penetrate through in midfield because they had Barkley to run past. So it's in midfield. We sort that out. I think we'll be fine. And this is why I think I'm not panicking. I think it's temporary.
Yeah.
The thing about Barkley and the midfield, whenever you play, Ross Barkley by now should know you're a fringe player. You're a fringe player. So whatever minutes, and I've said this a few times on this particular show, whatever time you get as a fringe player, you have to play your heart out. Barkley comes in and he's been given the chance to play in a pivot. My man, you have to run. You got to work. Your work rate's got to be off the charts. You got to be able to run up and run back, run sideways, run.
Do you see the amount of times he was jogging after he lost the ball?
Bro, did you see the amount of time where he wasn't interested in even show up for the ball?
No.
In the build-up or anything like that. It wasn't, he's like, I can't be bothered. You guys build it up and give it to me when I'm up there in the final third. I'll see what I can do over there.
No. But then he'll have a performance like he did earlier on in the season where, I can't remember who he was against, but he was a decent guy off the bench and people are like, oh, Barkley. I'm so bored of it. I'm actually tired of it now. I'm bored. Like, we don't, and we spoke about this last week's show, and the title is literally Chelsea's depth is deceiving. A few comments were like, think you guys are being a bit over dramatic there. I don't think we are. I really don't think so. Because yes, in some areas we may have good depth, but clearly in some areas we don't. And left wing back is a spot where we really don't. And I hate to bring it back to Hakimi, and people were questioning, oh, why did you want Hakimi? Because Hakimi can also play on the left. You know, he can also play on the left. You know, Livramento can also play on the left. This is why Tuchel wanted a wing back, because he could have at least then been a bit more flexible, where you can maybe move one of them to the left, or, you know, if you have to move James into midfield, then you can play a wing back on the right. Now, obviously, you know, Spinazzola, we was looking at it from Italy, he was injured. Hakimi didn't want to join, Livramento wanted to leave. So understandable. Again, those are just examples, but it just goes to show in the January, we have to go and sign a wing back. We have to. We knew that was a target in the summer. We couldn't get it done. Okay, cool. Not going to fully blame us at all. We tried in some places. We don't want to just go down the list and start buying dead wood. But in January, you know you needed a wing back in the summer. That was a request. You didn't get it. So in January, I expect you to buy one. Not loan, not recall from Coventry, not try and mix one together from Cobham, but you should be buying one, because they have to be a starter and they have to be ready right now, which means scouting is very important here. You know, it's not fair to ask someone to jump up from Coventry to the Premier League and Champions League level and perform against potentially Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, which is a 50% chance in the knockouts, and deal with Vinicius or deal with Sané, who scored last night. Are you crazy? What kind of child neglect is that?
You know what's crazy? You start seeing all the other rival fans. It's hilarious. I've seen it the last few days, where they're like, they see Chelsea fans complaining about the depth, and now we need to go and buy. And they're like, look at the squad you have, and you want to buy more. Bloody hell, Chelsea Football Club. All they do is just get the checkbook out, and it's just like, well, you know what? Yeah, maybe we have to. Maybe we have to. Maybe we were deceived.
We brought through more young players than anyone in the top 6 in the last couple of years. So I don't want to hear shit from anyone. We brought through Trev this summer. Ruben was used from Fulham on loan. Like, we bought Lukaku, yes. We brought in Saul on loan. And we also brought Ruben into the squad and Trev. That's 50% academy, 50% free, 5 million purchase on loan, and then the 100 million, which was balanced out by net spend. Yeah. This narrative that Chelsea just buy. Listen, I don't want to hear it. Transfer ban a couple of years ago, which then was balanced out by, spending 200 and bringing in the attackers. That's, again, balanced. Like, we are not Man United, who are just constantly buying. They are actually constantly buying. We're not Arsenal, who in recent years have actually spent more than us net spend. Lee Gunner will tell you all about it. He's got the bloody finances ready to go. We actually have not been splashing. Yes, we bought a lot of
Morata money.
Exactly. Hazard, Morata, all of this is balanced out. So when I'm asking Chelsea to go and spend 30 to 35 million potentially is what you might need to spend on a left wing back. Some contracts are running out in 2023, and there's a lot of left wing backs on the market. There's a lot that could solve this situation and make us 10 times better than we are down that left-hand side. People are bringing up Theo Hernandez. I've brought up Guerrero at Dortmund. That's one of my options. Goossens at Atalanta is another option that I really like. Someone at Frankfurt as well, I think Kostic. There's so many options for left wing back on the planet right now. There's literally the Everton left wing back.
Look at him.
He's fallen out with Rafa Benitez. There's so many options. It's ridiculous. It's literally inexcusable. And if they don't get one, they're literally just they're being incompetent on purpose at this point.
This is. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to quickly add, and one thing to say, you know how we talked about the theory of Saul being in the left wing back?
Yes.
Rip that theory apart. I had someone in the live chat that was so funny. I could not stop laughing. And we gave that person a standing ovation for like a minute. I was like, everyone, let's get up and give this person he said, Miz, we learned one thing today. Positive about Saul is he can play many positions. Negative, he can't play good in any of those positions. So,
Oh, no.
we needed to find that out. It was an experiment we needed to try,
find out,
and we learned.
And after the first minute, he looked mad when he went for that drive.
Great for 15 minutes.
Nah, maybe 5. I think it was 5.
Maybe 5. He went for that drive, Younes, the first 2 minutes, within the first minute or something like that. He went for that drive and he went for that shot. And I was like, okay, all right, this is what I was, sort of had that in my mind. And then after that,
he literally switched.
Saul said, enough.
Well, everybody did. We looked great for 5 minutes. We scored, and then everything just went tits up. And I think that's what Tuchel meant when he said, when we score, we change our approach, and we shouldn't do that. And we've given away the lead now in quite a few games. West Ham, we gave away obviously a 2-1 lead. Last night we were leading with 6 minutes to go. We give it up again. So we are not responding well to having what's supposedly having control of the game. And maybe that comes down to the individuals not being as good on the pitch, and they are depth, so they are maybe second guessing themselves. Oh shit, we actually took the lead. Okay, right, everybody back off. This is crazy. We shouldn't even be in this position. And yeah, everybody looked great for 5 minutes. I was so excited after 5 minutes. Because I predicted before the game it would be a difficult match, and I thought, yes, we would sneak the 1-0 win, but I thought it would be a tough game, 2-1, whatever it may be. And after 5 minutes, my guys are like in the watch along, oh my God, this is going to be easy. I'm like, wow, maybe it will be. Lukaku is drifting off to the right. I thought that was really nice to see him in a front two, like he had with Lautaro Martinez last season. He wasn't the focal point. He was getting into the wide halves, in between the fullback and the centre back. That was good to see. I was like, okay, this is why you don't write him off. There's slight tactical changes here. We have Mount just playing behind Werner and Lukaku. That looked dangerous. Saul, like you said, made his run. Midfield was ticking. First 5 minutes, everybody's bopping it about. I thought, wow, we could be on something here. We score, and then everyone's like, right, turn the lights off. I already turned the lights off, literally. Darkness. And it was just, from that moment on, just never regained control again. And there were times where Zenit had more possession in the game than us. Then it would swing back to 50-50. But yeah, the games where Chelsea don't dominate possession, they do not have control of the game. It's not like Chelsea of old where we would sacrifice possession, but defensively we would have control. We could not have the ball for 5-10 minutes or even 15 minutes, and we wouldn't think we're going to concede. Whereas right now, in the last couple of weeks, Chelsea don't have possession because we are a possession-based team now. So we probably know what to do more on the ball. Off the ball now.
Exactly.
Off the ball, we don't have possession. We're like, shit, we didn't rehearse this. And they just start singing the wrong notes and screeching and cracking glass. And that's literally what happens when we're out of possession. We have no idea what we're doing. And therefore, we just start giving away chances.
Especially with this second string team. I want to stress that with these players that are coming in as the squad depth. On the ball, right, remember, the two positions that have been severely affected are the two positions that are, crucial for this system to work. The double pivot and the wing backs. Yeah. Those are the ones that have been cooked.
That's the midfield, injured. Right? Younes, that's literally the midfield.
It's the entire line, It's the entire, the double pivot, injuries. The wing backs, injuries, except for Reece James. And even he had a little issue very briefly, and he's just come back. So when you look at the squad depth and those players that are coming in, you can see on the ball, going forward, we've got ballers. We've got players that can attack, that can go forward, that can link up, get the ball to the forward line, and then hopefully get chances, get goals. But having to defend, and especially have the mentality to defend the lead and be strong and, in defense, be resilient, with that squad depth, with those positions that we are lacking in now because of these injuries, we seem to struggle. We don't hold the shape. We don't have the right mentality. We switch off very easily. Concentration dips. Whereas if you have all the players that are normally playing there, if you have a Kante, Jorginho, Chilwell, or Kovacic, and everyone that's normally there, you're solid. And we don't let anything through. And that protects our defense, and then that protects our goalkeeper, and it just has a knock-on effect. So, yeah, we've got to question the fact that the two positions that are serious for this system to work are the ones that are letting us down at the moment because of this squad depth that I think we might have been deceived with. So,
There's so much to it because the counter press is stronger with those guys that you just mentioned in the first 11. Is Barkley going to be as strong as counter pressing than the first 11? No. Is Saul or Alonso at left wing back going to be as strong as Chilwell in the counter press? No. So we get the ball back faster. We on average have way more possession because technically the team is a lot better.
Intensity,
so they don't have to be even thinking about our shape off the ball as much because they're on the ball 70%, 65% of the time.
Yep.
Drop that percentage by 10, 15% with a worse team is actually more like we should probably be doing with the bench team, the second 11, more off the ball work in terms of defensive shape and holding on and knowing how to be counter-attacking and resilient because they're the ones that can't keep the ball. So what I feel like's happening now is everybody's learning how to play possession based, which is fair enough. The first 11, they can do that because they're actually good. The second 11 are also doing possession based, part of the team in the training, but they can't keep the ball because they're not as good. So then defensively, they're getting exposed because they don't know how to be Chelsea of old with the shithousery and the defending against Barcelona with the clearances off the line and the just completely out and out ultimate defending. And they just last night off the ball, whenever they gave it away, they didn't know how to regain composure and sort themselves out. They were just like, shit, what do we do here? It was a mess.
Bring back John Obi Mikel. That's what I
say. And you know, for me, you know, obviously the midfield is a summer thing, but you know, Tchouaméni or Declan Rice in the summer, you got to go and get one of those. I'm sorry, because at this point now,
you need both. I reckon you need both.
Bro, at this point now, you can't rely upon Kante for minutes. He's just injured quite often now. He's breaking down. I said this a year ago. People hated me for it. That one, I don't like Kante in the lone DM position, and two, he's injury prone. We need to look at replacing him, and that doesn't mean he needs to be sold. But that, which is what a lot of people picked up on, but that means we need to look at putting someone in his place in the team who we can rely upon. So when Kante's not here, we don't all go, oh, we can't live without Kante. We're missing this. We know Kante's going to be missing. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, this person is not going to be here every single game. So prepare for that and make sure you have some adequate cover for that. Don't just keep crying every time he's not here and saying, oh, if we had Kante. We know Kante is injury prone. This is a fact now. We know this. So we need to get that fourth midfielder who is quality. And if you have to spend, you have to spend. You know, Chelsea used to have Mikel. They used to have Makelele. They have to use Essien, Ballack, Lampard. There was depth. One of those guys were on the bench. Two of those guys were on the bench. You don't see Man City complaining. Yeah. You know, this is the level we need to get back to and not keep worrying about, oh, we got too many good players. I couldn't give two shiny shits if we got too many players that are good. Tuchel can handle too many good players. I'm 100% sure of it. His squad management is A1. We need to be back in a position where we have a quality depth behind us. Not Drinkwaters, not Bakayoko's, and not Saul's, to be honest, as well. Like, quality depth now. That's what we need. So, and for that, you have to spend, because I can assure you, Manchester City are also looking at Declan Rice, but they have Rodri. So what's going to happen when they have both? What's going to happen if Man United go and get one of these guys as well? Like, we are in competition for these players. And if we keep saying, oh, well, we have three good midfielders and we just need a fourth, what are we going to do then? And, you know, Gallagher, unfortunately, is not 6. So we need to also look at squad balance. You know, we need to go back to that again. We knew we needed a 6. We wanted to, you know, potentially say, oh, well, even I was thinking about on Twitch, or maybe Gallagher. No. Honestly, we need to make sure that there's balance. We have to have a 6 because Jorginho is the only sitter. You just touched on it before. Jorginho is the only person that sits. Gilmour can come back in January and do that half in possession, out of possession. He's not really a holder. That could be a stopgap until the end because I don't think any of these big targets are available in January. But in January, we have to go and get a 6. We have not replaced Nemanja Matic. We still haven't done it. And both of those guys can replace him. Rice knows how to sit. Did it last year. Souček went forward. Knows how to go forward. Souček sits. Tchouaméni the same. We have to go and get players that are well-rounded that can do both sides of the game. So it's something that we need to address in the next 6 months.
We need to figure out. It's a good point to talk about the 6, the midfield, and all of that. We need to figure out what type of a characteristic that we want as a 6. There's many different types of 6. Now, do you want, and this is just my belief, and it could be wrong, and I'm open for any of you guys to tell me otherwise. You look at the caliber of player Jorginho is. He's always showing up for the ball. Understand what I'm trying to say? He's not shying away. He literally will come right in front of Thiago Silva or Rudiger or Christensen or the wing backs, and he's always asking, lay it to me, I'll pass it on. Lay it to me, I'll pass it on. I think what Matisse is trying to say is that we'd rather be a football club that defends with the ball. Yeah, when we are without the ball, we need to be better. And I think with our first proper team, we are better. It's the second stream, as Younes is saying, is not as good with the ball or off the ball. But I think down the track, we even want our backups to be good with the ball. So when Jorginho is not there, we want someone to seamlessly come in and still be able to control the match and not have the examples of Watford and Zenit. So we still want to be able to have more possession and defend with possession. Now, going back to that sitter, I personally don't think Declan Rice is the sitter that shows up with every single one of these and asks for the ball all the time. I think he's more of a, I'll sit, but I'll have two dynamic midfielders around me. They'll do all the dirty work for me.
Well, he usually plays in a pivot.
Yeah, or pivot, whatever the case. If he's the lone or if he's in a pivot, if he's in a pivot, I expect him. My theory is I expect him to do more what Kante does: drive forward, win the ball up front, track back, break the play down, intercept, be positionally aware, and all of that. I, for some reason, cannot picture Declan Rice doing what Rodri or Jorginho does. That is, defend with the ball. I don't know about you two. Does Declan Rice give you that vibe that he can defend with the ball? He shows up. Tchouaméni on the other side, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen a few Monaco matches. I'm not kidding you. Not just the clips. There are some fantastic clips that are floating around in social media. I've actually seen some Monaco matches, right? He looks like the carbon copy of Jorginho. However, more athletic, more physical, and, you know, he's got that robust paces where you're not going to be beating him with pace. Just watch his game. What I mean by Declan Rice, both are great. I'm not downplaying Declan Rice.
There's pros and cons to both of them, isn't it? Because Declan, I agree with you. Obviously, for England, I think that was, you know, emphasized. But at the same time, Southgate didn't get joy out of Foden, didn't get joy out of Sancho. So I'm not really judging players too much from England, because that was instruction as well. I heard that Declan Rice was to play it sideways and not play it forward. That was an instruction from Southgate. So again, you know, you can't play how you're playing for West Ham, probably player of the year, captain, leading them to Europa League football, top 4 charge, and then go and drop clangers for England. And I'm just going to think you're shit because of the clangers for England when Sancho is also dropping clangers for Foden. Now, for me, I get what you're saying in that regard. I think Declan Rice technically and his trajectory in the last couple of years, to the point where I've gone from not really thinking he's going to be anything special and getting cooked by Ruben Loftus-Cheek at Stamford Bridge to, oh my God, this is one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League. That trajectory is pretty damn good for someone of his age. Add on to that the leadership and the lack of needing to acclimatise to the Premier League and knowing some of the players, similar to Chilwell. And that's the route that I'm thinking, you put that with Thomas Tuchel's coaching and all of these little intricacies that you're talking about in terms of possession. I think he can learn all of that and go up another gear, because he is good on the ball. He can pass the ball with both feet, but it's just the responsibility that he doesn't have in the West Ham team to do this role, because West Ham don't have as much possession as we do. It's a fact. They're more of a team that they're in transition, or they are, you know, a bit up and down in terms of.
They don't have 70% possession, do they?
They don't have 70% possession. Yeah. So I don't feel like I actually don't feel like he can't do it. I feel like he hasn't had to do it. But again, this is where Tuchel comes in. I believe in Tuchel so much that if you give him someone with enough fundamental ability who has shown what Declan Rice has shown in this league over the last year and a half, I don't think it's going to be a massive issue. And also, I actually want someone who's a slightly different mold. And it's difficult to have everything. I think Tchouaméni probably does maybe have that a bit more. But then on top of that, he's going to have to acclimatise. Maybe it's going to take him a bit longer to adapt, things like that. He's obviously not played in the Premier League before. So there's always pros and cons to both of them. So maybe just get both, like you said. Why not? Fuck it. But in terms of
we need both.
In terms of Declan, what we just spoke about earlier, in terms of what are we going to do now as a team if we have less of the ball? He is used to that. He is used to having less of the ball. So if Chelsea don't dominate possession and he is surrounded by dross, maybe we might defend a little bit better, because he knows what it's like to have a game where 50% possession, and he knows how to defend under those circumstances. He's not used to dominating the ball. So if we don't have the ball, you know, we can still actually defend here and not completely lose our minds. And that's the side of it that I'm looking at as well. For me personally, at this point, I'm just like, it's difficult to get someone who can do absolutely everything. You know, maybe have the Premier League experience, the leadership, the familiarity with the squad, which is all very important when you're settling in. Something Saul was clearly not had. clearly not had. You know, that's shown us now. Something a lot of these players that we've signed from abroad who have been inconsistent have clearly not had. Havertz and Werner saying, oh, the defenders are too big. It's taken a long time for them to acclimatise. Trevor, seamless. Reece, seamless. Mount, seamless. These guys, the academy guys are the guys that are actually sometimes carrying this team. And the people that we're spending a lot of money on are the ones that are taking their time to adapt. I think both of them will be great players. At this point, I don't care which one. I think if we don't get Rice, he'll go to Man City and he'll probably do bits there, or go to Man United and do bits there. We have to get one of them. And maybe, like you're saying, even both. I don't think we'll get both. I think we'll get one or the other. With Rice, you've got the guarantee that there's no adaptation period in terms of the Premier League. He's going to completely just settle in. No issues there. And the guy is bringing leadership as well, which maybe is something this team at times lacks in terms of when you strip the first 11. That team on the pitch yesterday, outside of Reece James, just no leadership at all, just like stripped of leadership and stripped of character. You talk about speaking and communication. That's another thing. Christensen, you could say, where was the communication for Sarr? If that's Declan Rice out there, he's bringing that communication. So it's like there's so many pros and cons to both at this point. I actually don't care which one we get. And money's starting to concern me a lot less as well. When I'm seeing all these green spreadsheets, I'm like, nah, I don't really mind. Obviously, I don't think he's worth 100 or 80 million. Of course not. But you are worth, I guess, what the market's willing to pay. So we'll see in this bidding war who wants to pay more. That will determine how much he's actually worth. Because Kepa wasn't worth 70, but I guess he was because we were desperate enough to pay it. So that means he's worth it. To us, that's what value is. So at this point, I'm so frustrated with the midfield, bro. I don't even care who we get. I really don't. I really don't care. I'll take anybody. I'll take anybody at this point. I really will. It's that bad, you know?
You're right. You know what's crazy? I think with you both made good points about Rice and Tchouaméni. I think you're spot on. Obviously, with Rice, it's a case of can he adapt to playing a very fast style of football, you know, and pass and move. Because if he can do that, he's got the full package. You know, we know he's defensively robust. We know he's got great communication. We know he's solid, that if the ball isn't in Chelsea's court, if we don't have possession, you feel safe with Declan Rice. He will, you know, seek and destroy, which is great. I think in terms of a counter-attack, you know, he has the capabilities to just take the ball and be a powerhouse and run, just like we see Loftus-Cheek sometimes do. But Declan Rice on a more mature level, I would say. So there is that. With Tchouaméni, you know he can distribute the ball very well. You know he has that technicality to his game, which is probably what maybe Declan Rice lacks a little. But if Tuchel can just manage, right, and coach, then, which hopefully I believe he can, then we should be okay. What I want to bring up is the injuries, right? Because all of this wouldn't be happening if we didn't have any injuries. Yeah, we are getting far too many injuries, and it's not even a case of. This is the thing. It's not even a case of, oh, bad tackle, broken leg, or bad tackle, twisted ankle. Or
warming up.
That. It's all of them having muscular issues, or as you've seen, as you've just said, Loftus-Cheek, warming up, boom, injured. All of them have been out just because they've just got injured. And it's like, okay, that's one part of the problem. The second part of the problem is we're getting all these injuries and we're being given a time frame. And we're all like, yeah, you know what? All right, Kovacic, 3-4 weeks, no problem. How long has it been?
2 months.
Well, now he's been
nearly 8 weeks.
Yeah, now he's gone.
This is the thing. Pulisic, when he was injured, right? Took way longer than expected. Kante, we all thought, okay, yeah, it won't be that long, maybe a few weeks. How long has it been for Kante now? You know, all these players, they get injured. We get given a time frame. We're like, all right, they're expected any moment back now. No, add a month. And it's like, okay, I understand you want to be cautious, but this tells me it's not just being cautious. A week or two more is being cautious. Adding an extra month or an extra month and a half means that the problem was worse than we were told or that we were thought. So what's causing these crazy injuries? Is it our medical department? Is it the fact that they don't know, you know, how to treat properly? Is it the fact that the training's too intense? Are these players being pushed too much? I thought Antonio Conte done that. You know, I know the intensity is high with Tuchel, but I know his man management and his squad management is great. So I know exactly that I can trust him to know when to dip off a little in terms of level, in terms of intensity to protect the player. I know we manage our players very well, but we're getting far too many injuries, man. Far too many. And it's It's a concern. I think that's got to be addressed. That's got to be addressed. And if it means changing the medical department, then cool. If it means maybe adjusting training a little bit, cool. But something needs to be done.
I think if you go through our squad, the amount of people that have been injured, it's actually ridiculous now when you actually go through it. Trev now, I think the rest of the centre-backs have been more or less fine. The goalkeepers have been fine. Chilwell, Reece James.
I'm glad the goalkeepers have been fine.
Kante, Kova, Jorginho, Ruben now as well. Then you move into the front three. So that's all of the midfield, basically, only apart from Saul. Then moving into the front three, you've got Werner, you've got Lukaku. You've now got Kai for a little period as well. Mason Mount, Pulisic.
And it's everyone at the same time. Or near enough the same sort of time frame.
Ziyech as well. Yeah. The only forward who hasn't been injured is Hudson-Odoi, to my memory. The only midfielder that hasn't been injured has been Saul. Wing backs, you've had Aspi and Alonso. And defenders, Thiago Silva, Christensen, Rudiger, and the goalkeepers.
And even Alonso had a little back problem that he managed to kind of shake off.
But like everybody else has been injured. I've probably named maybe like 6 players max that haven't been injured. Everybody else has picked up something at some point, and it's not even small ones. Mason Mount was out for ages. Lukaku out for ages. James out for ages. Chilwell out for ages now. All three midfielders, it feels like a lifetime. It is like Trev not back until maybe next week training, thankfully. That's actually not as bad as we first thought. We thought it was going to be the festive period. It's really bad. Really bad.
Do you know what I blame a lot of it as well, Matisse? The names you've mentioned, just count how many of them have played Euros as well. So these players are not getting proper breaks, man. Like, you look at Mason Mount, straight after the Champions League, Euros. Jorginho, the entirety of the Euros. Christensen was also part of the Euros. Rudiger with Germany, Euros. Werner, Kai Havertz, Lukaku with Belgium. I mean, I'm not surprised. I know a lot of people say, well, what about the other teams? How come they don't have as many? Well, Liverpool kind of went with all of that injury stuff last season. You can say Man United. But our boys are playing top caliber football all throughout. Like, there's no stopping. Like, as soon as club football finishes, you think when May it all finishes? No, then they go off and do all of these ridiculous qualifiers. Now, Jorginho has big-time qualifiers for Italy to qualify for the World Cup because they could possibly miss out. So,
is there anything on this summer? Is that what?
That one's probably in the next international break, maybe.
But this summer coming up, there's nothing on. I really hope these guys just get like 6 weeks rest. Just don't.
This summer coming up,
because obviously the World Cup.
Is there any League of Nations, or whatever that is? Nations League Cup.
I don't think so. No, so I think someone just won the Nations League, didn't they?
Yeah. I hope they have a proper break this time around.
Seriously, there should be nothing this summer.
Yeah, because they got the World Cup in December.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I think the summer will be holiday. I hope.
Hopefully they recover. Don't be surprised if you get more, because, as I said, Italy plays Portugal, I believe, and that's going to be an intense game.
Yeah.
Which is why you need even better depth these days. You know? Yeah. And, worrying about when people are going to play, don't worry, they'll get to play. Like, it is really a squad game these days. There's just so many injuries. It really is a squad game. And that's why Man City have been able to sustain consistent title charges, because they have a squad. Bernardo Silva pops out of nowhere and is their best player in their team this season. Last season, midway through, it was Gundogan. Yep. Kevin De Bruyne's been injured
and year in, year out along
for long spells, and they have it has no effect on their team.
Yeah,
no effect on their team whatsoever.
It's mad when you look at it. Sterling was a main player. Now he's on the bench. You know, Mahrez wasn't being used so much last season. Now he's kind of being used, and it's just there's always quality coming in.
Foden and Grealish on the other side.
In and out. Grealish has been bought. Yeah, but I mean it's mad. Yeah. The question is, Liverpool, are they going to have the same sort of squad depth when Mane and Salah,
we saw it last season. They collapsed.
They did. Is it going to happen again? Is it not? Have they learned? Don't know. Origi seems to be performing. So,
but for some reason, Salah and Mane, I see them play almost every game. I don't know.
Every game they don't get injured.
This. How do they do that? Even
it's the Willian durability with the quality,
and they score.
and they score like that dead rubber. Who they play against AC Milan?
Yeah,
they didn't
2-1,
need to. They didn't need to play Salah and Mane. They didn't need to. Like they were already first, and they still.
I think they've won 6 out of 6 now, isn't it?
They won 6 out of 6.
So, yeah.
They won 6 out of 6.
The first English team to do so.
Ajax did that as well. Yeah,
Ajax did that as well. And it makes you think, God damn it, what are they doing good? It must be their, diet, exercise, sleep. Everything has to fall into place because the way Salah and Mane are moving, my days, they have not missed many games this season. It's incredible.
You know
what's incredible?
What's
and
crazy?
This is
those
why,
two, so those two, from looking outside in, they do look after themselves in terms of their lifestyles, all of that. Salah and Mane, they do, but Kante does. He's broken.
But Kante is just, I think Kante is just a freak of nature who's covered more grass than anyone in this world. And he's just broken down at this point. Like he's literally at that age now where it's like, I'm tired, man. I've done it. I've been doing it. Not when you pivot next to Drinkwater for Leicester, like, do you know how much ground he must have covered that year? It must have been ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Drinkwater's not the quickest guy in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of ground he's covered. So I just think that's natural for him. But I'm looking more at younger players that are breaking down, and I'm like, bloody hell, it's a bit early, isn't it, mate? Jesus, do you know what I mean? But also as well, when you look at when you look at those two that you just mentioned, Salah and Mane, they're in their prime as well, and a lot of our so-called attackers that are meant to be firing aren't. It's really only Lukaku and Ziyech that are in their prime. Everybody else is on a different spectrum altogether. I do want to put some positives on the game as well. Obviously, we did score 3 goals. We scored 2 goals last game, 2 goals the game before that. Goals do seem to be coming a bit more regularly for this team. Strikers scored last night as well, which is, I think that deserves a round of applause, if anything. Some strikers scored. Congratulations to the strikers for striking. Crazy, right? Doing what they're paid to do, finally. Lukaku scored.
And the assist came from strikers.
Yes, obviously Lukaku with the tap-in. I don't think Lukaku had the greatest game, but again, maybe it's just good for the confidence to get a goal. He's still nowhere near where he needs to be. I thought Kai, when he came on, looked really good again. Pulling the strings and linking up things really well. I personally would probably start Kai against Leeds, let Lukaku play against Brentford, and then reassess again.
Can I just say about Lukaku, by the way?
Yeah.
The amount of times, again, it frustrates me, man, because maybe there are some other people that didn't pick up on it, and fair enough, because during portions of the game, I was just looking at Lukaku, and I see him make the run, I see him point, I see him, try and direct, and he doesn't get the ball, and I'm like, give him the flipping ball, send it, he will get onto it, and he does it countless times, and I'm just like, it frustrates me. I'm like, if you actually get the ball to exactly where he wants when he's making that run, because he's already beaten the defender, chances are he'll probably be one-on-one on goal. And it's like, maybe the squad depth, maybe they're not quite acclimatized to it. Maybe with the first 11, maybe things will click better, but it frustrates me.
Put Fabregas in that midfield, different ball game.
Yeah,
there was only one player, and I noticed this quite evidently many times. Mason Mount was the only player every time got the ball was looking for Lukaku straight away, zipping the ball to him. All the time zipping the ball to him.
Sometimes a bit too strong as well. Sometimes he's too strong. He shoots it at him. I'm like,
There was a time when he literally just fired it into him. I was like, bloody hell, do you not like him?
But I think the idea from him is that I need to look for this man straight away, immediately. I can't waste time holding onto the ball. Whereas you're right, Younes, other players, they're not looking to pass quickly to Lukaku. I think the idea with Lukaku is you got to give him the ball immediately. As soon as you hold the ball and you hold it for more than a second, that moment is gone. It's gone. You have to reach him straight away.
There's 2 things here as well. I agree with that. When you see Chelsea moving the ball and then we get into the opponent's half and then the spaces are quite short, that's not the time to pass to Lukaku. He's already got 2 centre-backs on him and he's back to goal. It should have been like to be honest, when you see Rudiger send a crossfield ball, you see a Silva or whoever, or Chalobah or a Jorginho from deep. It's those areas, because you can see, like, when they're with the ball, you look at Lukaku and he's already making that run and he's pointing.
Yeah.
But when you get the ball, when we try to like move it very, very quickly and very short passing sort of style to the box, it's already late. He's already been closed down. The opportunity came before when he's making the run and he's only got one defender to beat. Send the long ball. And it's like, we don't do that. We always try to get the ball to him short, and then he's already closed down, and then he just tries to, send it to the side or send it to someone that's close. And it's like, it becomes pointless.
This is why Kovacic was very important in midfield, because he was trying to find Lukaku quick as well, along with Mount. And the thing about Lukaku yesterday, poor guy, he missed out on an assist as well. He put a nice cross for Mason, I believe, and Mason hit the keeper. I feel like that's a position Mason needs to finish, especially in these matches where goals are so important. And, had he got that assist, maybe we would have looked at it a whole differently, that Lukaku got a tapping goal and an assist. And, there's something brewing. So on the other side, I don't know if you guys want to touch on Timo Werner. I'm glad he scored the 2 goals and the assist, but I have to say something, and I'm going to get hate, and you're going to hate me, and it's fine.
I feel you on this. Go on.
If you look at the goals and the assist and you didn't watch the game, you'd be thinking, my God, he's man of the match. Please watch the match. Please watch the match. There's been plenty of moments where Timo had Timo moments. What I mean by Timo moments is there were a couple of times where he was in great position. All he had to do is use his pace. We know he's a fast player. Run through, hit the shot. Instead, he will run into the defenders. He instead goes into traffic where there's more defenders as opposed to going away. It's strange. When he doesn't need to go away, he goes away. When he does need to tuck in, he goes away. Like he does weird stuff, weird decision. And there was another moment where in the box, he gets the ball. His first touch went straight to the Zenit player, and then Zenit cleared it off, and it was inside the box. And there were a couple of other moments like that. Please watch the game. There were so many frustrating moments Timo had. And I got so much hate post-game because I was saying the same thing. They're like, you never liked him. I'm like, no, I'm glad he scored the 2 goals. Great finish for the second goal. Fantastic finish. And I want to see more of that. But if he's going to play 90 minutes, there are other facets of the game as well. I mean, Younes, is that how you felt as well? Like,
I fully agree, mate. Yeah, because look, he got the goals, he got the assists, and fair play. But there are portions in that game, and I think it proved that, he kind of, funny, I was going to say he kind of needs things on a plate, but he does have that sometimes and misses. I hope that's not going to happen again soon. But look, you can see every time he gets the ball and he's dribbling, specifically at this point, so he gets the ball, running towards defender, his IQ goes to 0.
Yeah.
His IQ goes to 0. He just runs into the defender, or he just, forgets what's around him.
He'll shoot.
He tucks in, just shoots,
just
hit it. Yeah, exactly. He'll just hit it. He's hit the defender. And he hasn't actually thought about what to do, or he hasn't thought about what to do before he's got the ball. He hasn't analyzed the situation. That happens time and time and time again. So I'm quite convinced that in that situation, Werner isn't clued up. And that's just his nature, I guess. He's just not that guy to dribble past defenders or to actually come up with a solution in the tight space. He needs support around him. I think that's it.
What good is your pace then? Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah. And this is why he was so successful in Germany, I think. Because with a high line, get the ball over, use your pace. All right, you've beaten him. That's the only way Werner will actually get past defenders. In the Premier League, having to come up against a lower block, or in the Champions League with a team that are actually going to sit back a little bit, you're going to have to take players on. Werner's not the guy.
We've got too many players at this football club that technically they have so many flaws in their game.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Those are the players that then are moments players where they look poor.
Bang on.
But for the full 90, if you were to watch them, you'd be frustrated for 80, 75% of it. But then they have moments, because obviously everybody's going to have moments at some point. And especially with Werner, with his determination, his mentality, he's going to keep going, and then he's going to have his moments. And that's great, but it's not something you can rely upon because of the technical faults in his game. The lack of ability to go 1v1. To be honest, I was impressed with the second goal because the second goal actually showed some technique. First goal was like tapping, Lukaku tapping. Cool, this is nice for your confidence, but I've said this before where Werner, you scored now, let's go on a run, let's start picking up, and he doesn't. So I'm not going to get overly gassed with tap-ins, but lovely goal for the second to cut in, check back in. That's something I've been waiting for him to do for ages. But again, doing it on a consistent basis is another thing. But technically, Alonso, technically Werner, players like this who technically have got so many things fundamentally wrong in their game in terms of just general play. And this is why City succeed, because Zinchenko is just a good footballer. And it's the same with Reece James. He's just a good footballer. Bernardo Silva is just a good footballer. When you have players that are simply good footballers, you can use them in multiple positions. It's why at Cobham, we have so many players that can play in many different positions. Trevor can play on the left side of a back three, the middle, the DM position. He moves into DM, suddenly Ruben looks a lot better. Reece James can move into midfield. He can play right wing back. He can play right side centre back. Like, because they've been trained up in all these positions, because in the academy, they've had to switch formation constantly with whatever manager's been at the helm in the first team to mirror that in the system, in the youth academy. They've had to be versatile. They've had to be adaptable. But these guys that we're signing, some of them, are so system-based, it's ridiculous. To the point where Tuchel can't be as flexible system-wise as he probably wants to be because he's covering up loads of flaws. And Chelsea fans are talking about, oh, maybe we should just switch formation. We can't. It's
not as easy as that. Yeah.
Because if we could, he would have done it by now. Because he's literally so intelligent. He's not stupid. He knows what he's doing. He's playing this formation because he's covering up flaws and he's enhancing strengths. That's what he's doing. If you switch formation to a forward three now with, say, a 4-3-3. Well, first of all, where does Werner play? Because he's not a lone striker and he's not a winger. So he's out the picture. So now you've got one player less that you can use in a taxing time in the season where you need everyone.
Correct.
Kai. Is Kai a lone striker with nobody near him? A target man? Probably not. Is he a winger? No. Probably not.
Not really.
You know? So there you go. Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi. Are they goal-scoring wingers like Salah and Mane that you can put the burden on for them to now play in the front three and put the fullbacks who can shoot better than them back behind them in a four? Yeah. Probably not. So when you put all these things together, it suits the attack. A lot of people say this formation is to cover up Jorginho and to cover up the defense. It's also to suit the attack. The attack that is not in its prime, a lot of them. The attack that is not clinical. But they are scoring more goals recently, so fair play to them. But, you know, doesn't mean now I think Werner's shooting ability because he scored 2 goals is now top of the range. Good performance yesterday. Great to get the 2 goals and the assist. But at the same time, like you said, Miz, frustrating at times. And the reason why I'm kind of bored with the whole, oh, well, you guys are being too harsh. And I'm sure the comments are telling me right now you're being too harsh. To be honest, until I see some consistency, I don't care. I don't care. Because you can have a good game, but then be trash again, and then be good again, and then be trash again. That is not going to be enough to win the Premier League. It's not.
Matisse, wait till so many people say, surely Werner starts against Leeds now. And I'd be like, no freaking way I would trust Werner against Leeds. I would not. I know a lot of people say, well, Leeds are quite an open team. You know, Werner could do. No, I would not bank on him. I think Leeds will sit back on him. No, Leeds won't sit back. They'll be open, but I don't bank Timo Werner to just bang in the way he has against Zenit. Like, I don't bank him to do that. As Matisse said, I've not seen him do that on a regular basis. And I'm not going to take an opportunity in a Premier League match to go on, Timo. Show, no, maybe against Brentford. Go on then. Like, I'd rather Kai Havertz. Do you know what I mean? He showed me, as Matisse said, coming off the bench, the link up, the hold up, everything was looking good. And even against Watford, he was looking good. Even against West Ham, first half before he got injured, we were looking a lot better with Kai Havertz.
That's the type of consistency we're talking about.
Exactly.
And, you know, even though it's not for a long spell, that's what you've got to do. And for me personally, I need 3-4 games in a row minimum before I start praising people in this attack. 100. When you start putting together a string of performances, then I can say, okay, maybe we can start counting on you for starts. And Kai is exactly by definition what you've said. And I think it's once again, it's a way of, oh, but he got 2 goals and assists. So he must have had a great game. Goals and assists sometimes cover up a performance that wasn't as good as what the goals and assists will state. And sometimes if someone doesn't score or assist, they actually had a really, really good game. And that's the balance, is getting that right and not just saying, well, you scored an assist, so you must have been brilliant. Of course, I appreciate the output. Of course, that is my biggest complaint with Timo, is that he doesn't finish. So yes, when he gets 2 goals, fantastic. And like I said, it's great for his confidence. But for a long stretch of form, you need technical fundamentals. So you 100%. Can be game in, game out, very good. So then even when you're not scoring or you're not assisting, I can still say you had a good game because you did this, this, and this. And I need it now to be, in your second season, I'm being a lot more harsh. I'm being more harsh with everyone. A few months ago, I was saying to Kai, you should be going for Young Player of the Year this season. You need to step up. He has stepped up recently. He needs to keep doing it. Everybody who's in their second season now, in that attack, they need to pull their finger out of their ass, because otherwise, like I said, they're on the chopping block in the summer, a lot of them. I think Kai is probably the only one who will get away with it because he costs so much. But I'm going to be more harsh on Timo because I need his performances just in general to just keep going up. So he's back now from, I think he was injured for a bit. He's got his 2 goals now. If he does start against Leeds, need to put in another good performance. We need these guys to be consistent because Bernardo Silva is very consistent right now. Salah is very consistent right now. And that's what we're going up against. So I'm not judging them off our own standards, which have fallen from the days of, Schürrle even coming off the bench and being somewhat reliable. Kalou coming off the bench and being somewhat reliable. We're not even talking about starters like Anelka and Drogba. We're not judging them by those standards. We've actually subconsciously, we probably don't know it, we've dropped our standards from attacking players. So now when they do anything, we're like, oh, fucking hell, man, that was absolutely insane, bro. Right on. No. Like, we need to get straight back to the standards now of this attack. And the standard is what Liverpool and Man City are putting out there. And if you haven't got a single player that is playing at one of those levels, not chasing Golden Boot. Again, you know who our top scorer in all competition this season is? Lukaku. That just deads any conversation. That alone just tells you just how unreliable a lot of these guys have been. The fact that I'm saying Lukaku has been our top scorer in all competitions, that's nuts. That is absolutely insane. Him and Mason Mount, I think, sit top of that tree. Both of which were injured for at least a month at one point. It's crazy. And I know they've all picked up an injury somewhere, but again, durability, availability is obviously king in this world. But we need these attackers to be more consistent. And I know they've scored some goals in the recent games, but they need to make sure that they're still doing it consistently throughout the rest of this Christmas, because the defense with the contract situations, and I don't know what's going on, we might have to slowly now lean on these attackers a little bit more. I'm hoping the defense sort themselves out, but it might be the defenders might be like, nah, it's your turn now to pull the weight. Do you know what I mean? They might be doing that right now because they're all over the place in their headspace. So it might now be on the attackers to start keeping this team moving in the title race. So
can you imagine if we were doing all of these, this sort of content like 10 years ago? Or like 12 years ago, who we got going up front for Leeds? We'll stick to the up top. It's all right. Who we got in midfield? Lampard will be all right. Our JT had a good game last game, didn't he? Fantastic. Ashley Cole, absolutely banging. Can you imagine? Who are we bringing off the bench? It's fine. We got Mikel. Shut the game off. We got Kalou to come in. If we have to rely on him, it's all right. Crazy
times. I just want to say to the live chat, when obviously this is going to be premiering, ask yourself, what type of a fan do you really want to be? Because a lot of this, what we've just talked about Timo, it might just go well over you, and you might think, what are these three talking about? They're actually harassing Timo after he scored 2 goals and an assist. I can imagine. I've seen these sort of comments. I know what's coming. I've seen it all. The boys have seen it in their comments as well. I just sincerely want to ask you guys, before you comment like that, before you take the step and put your finger on your keyboard that I'm going to unleash on these guys, I sincerely ask you, what type of fan do you want to be? Do you want to be a fan that actually, okay, let me just quickly have a look at that game again, analyze what's going on, what these boys are saying, and then come back? Or are you going to be one of those, no, the score sheet says 2 goals, Timo Werner, assist. No, I don't want to listen to these 3 clowns, what they have to say. It is what it is. Werner, man of the match. I'm not going to sit here and waste my time. So you decide what you want to be, and then comment.
What's funny is that I think there'll be a few of those people, because let's face it, it's never 100%. You always got some people that will take option number 2 of what you've just said, Miz. But those people,
it's the easier one, isn't it?
It's living in the moment. Everyone living in the moment is partly why we're in this position.
Well, exactly. Those very same people will be the same ones to illustrate the same points that we've just made in 2 or 3 games when he makes those mistakes and doesn't score and doesn't get an assist, and it will be like, okay, yeah, now you know.
Exactly.
But I also do want to say, fingers crossed, maybe he does sort those issues out. Maybe he does get a little run of form. Maybe he does keep banging in goals. Cool, absolutely. I'll take that all day long, and I hope he does it.
Right now,
I mean, 5 goals in 13 games this season after last night. So that's what we're currently at with statistics for Timo Werner. So my whole point is that my standards are really high, as they should be, I think, for Chelsea as well. Chelsea standards are really high. And that on a stat line is not good enough. Lukaku, stat line, not good enough as well. Lukaku's got a little bit more experience in the bank to say, okay, he's literally been to this club, in this league, and scored in all of those outings. And obviously, he's in his first few months. But he also, when he's fully fit, I'll be judging him just as harshly. I just think, to be honest, if you think Timo is safe right now in terms of his position at the club, then you're not watching what's going on, because there's no way this guy can have that output in his second season and he'd be safe. He's not safe. So last night doesn't make him safe. It just says what's next, and that's what I'm looking forward to, is what's next. I'm more interested in what Timo does next than what Timo just did. Because I'm trying to get consistency here. I'm trying to get, let's see now, next 10 games, can you score 8 goals or 7 goals? Why not? Why
decisive goals as well, Matisse. Yes, decisive ones.
100%.
Ones that wins the matches.
100%. Why not? So, that should be what we're looking at here. He's not actually that young. I think he's 25. So,
yeah, he is, yeah.
Outside of Lukaku and Ziyech, he's then the next one that you would say as well needs to be delivering a lot more consistently. So should be interesting. But for final thoughts, what were you guys thinking before we wrap up on everything at the moment? Deadly December is here.
I am nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I am nervous, and I feel our mood as a fan base is similar to how the gaffer feels at times. So right now I'm feeling Thomas Tuchel's at a point where he wants to explode. He wants to be violent, but he's just on the calm. He's on the calm. Obviously there's injuries and whatnot, but I think he's at a situation where he's thinking to himself, okay, there is injuries, no doubt about that. But I thought I put in a lot of work in the last 12 months to understand that these boys are understanding the system. Forget about the personnels, that you understand the system and you roll what you need to do in the system. But it looks like when the key players are gone and the backups are coming in, it's like the backups missed the classes. They did not attend and take those classes when the first batch were, studying hard. So he's at that point where he's like, I've been here for 12 months. It should be now, the system's the system. You should be able to play. And some of these backups are not doing the due diligence. And at Chelsea Football Club, and I've got a lot of comments like that it shouldn't be acceptable. Why should it be acceptable that we had a 3-3 against Zenit? It shouldn't be acceptable. We should have gone to win that particular group. And now we put ourselves in a predicament where we could possibly face Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Ajax, or Lille. And let's face it, knowing our luck, put down Bayern Munich straight away. Put it down. I'm not even going to watch that draw. I know what that draw is going to say.
On Monday,
Chelsea, Bayern Munich.
I'm going to watch
I'm actually going to watch that draw. I'll watch it along. But yeah, I'm a bit nervous, boys, if I'm being honest. This Leeds game, we need a massive W, a massive one. And then we need to go on a bit of a run. None of this, it's understandable if we drop some points against Leeds because we've got a lot of players injured. I do not care. I don't care. I don't care who's available. W.
We have to go on a run, man. Leeds, Everton.
Especially these games, yeah.
Yeah, Leeds, Everton, Brentford,
Wolves,
Villa, Brighton, Wolves. Wolves always going to be tricky.
All W's.
Yeah, the Wolves will be tricky, but we got Liverpool on the 2nd of Jan.
Yeah,
and then at that point, the fixtures start coming in. You start, getting forward to look to play City away. All of those games. AFCON kicks in. Then we've got Champions League from February onwards.
Club World Cup.
The Club World Cup. This is where these games from now up until the 2nd of Jan. Win. If we drop points, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
City and Liverpool aren't dropping points. I'm telling you right now, they will not drop points. They've been in this situation too many times. Klopp and Pep are well aware. December is the period we rack up the W's. We see each other come April. Do you know what I mean? If you don't rack up the W's now, get ready for a dogfight for top 4. Do you know what I
mean? We honestly have to go on a run. You're right in for the rest of this month because I think three out of the last 5 we dropped points. And then obviously, like you said, City and Liverpool in the new year, plus the Club World Cup, plus the FA Cup comes back, and all that stuff as well. It's just there's a lot there. And pre-contract signed as well, probably for a few defenders.
That's true. This is the time where you have to capitalize because I truly think when the going gets tough, we're talking February, March, that is where City and Liverpool might begin to drop a little bit, just a bit. You will find them draw the odd game. They might lose the odd game. Yeah. That's where you got to be there to capitalize. You got to be there in the mix to be able to get some points and go on top. Especially for Liverpool during the AFCON, they're going to be missing 2 of their key men, man. This has the time where you have to have looked back at December and go, yeah, we won every game. We've done everything we needed to do because you're in the mix. You drop points now, you're setting yourself up for failure because when they do drop points, you won't be there to capitalize on it. No. So
yeah, we need to be within a game come January.
One game.
Yeah, one game only. Within one game of the both of them.
Soon as it becomes 2, forget it. You are not expecting City and Liverpool to drop 2 games for you. Come along, Chelsea. We'll drop 2.
And we got to play them. We got to play them.
We got to play them.
Yeah. So we need to keep the deficit to what it is. Or go ahead, or at max try and keep it to 2. But for me personally, it's like when it starts becoming 4 or 5, that's when you can get cut adrift very easily. With one game now, you're one game away from being cut adrift. So and not being really able to pull it back. So yeah, we need to keep it in close quarters. But anyway, we're gonna wrap up. Very interested to see the comments on this premiere. Going to be very interested. Remember, this is not a review of Zenit, people. Always, it's more of a show where we talk about Chelsea as a whole. Not really, and that's the key here. It doesn't say Zenit review. We talk about what happened in Zenit, and we also talk about projections for the future, what we need to do to fix ourselves going forward, and raising questions. That's what this show is about. It's not really about stroking egos because we raised questions about depth last week, and Lord and behold, unfortunately, they're proving why we questioned the depth. And the week before, we questioned the left wing back when Chilwell leaves, and everyone said we have Alonso, we have no problems. And now 2 weeks down the line, everyone's shitting themselves. And it's not to say we're always right, we're not. But I think the best thing to do is to ask questions all the time.
Exactly.
What you would do in school is what you do now. More questions you ask, more answers you get. More you sit there and say, oh, everything will be fine all the time and everything's great. Then, especially when it's not, quite evidently, then different situation. If we had Lampard, Ballack, all these guys like Younes said, then maybe we could just sit here and say, fuck it, we're all good. But we're not. Younes, any content coming out, let the people know.
So it's looking forward to the game on Saturday. Obviously, we got Leeds, so there'll be that preview coming tomorrow. For today, normal video will be dropping later. As well as Twitch. I'm going to be a lot more active on there. There will not be any more watch longs on Twitch. That's done. It's all strictly YouTube 100%. For unforeseen circumstances. But yeah, apart from that, it's just looking up at what's going on in the football world and any big topics that will be there to talk about. Aside from Chelsea, I'll make sure I do. So yeah, we keep moving with the December flow.
Yeah, good to hear. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with the cross-platform streaming. It's just a bit mad. So you just have to kind of cut one out. It's why streaming on Twitch and YouTube is literally just hell. Miz, let them know what content is coming out, bro. Anything coming up in the next couple of days? Obviously, Leeds coming up next and previews and whatnot.
Yeah, so probably nothing today. Maybe something by the end of today if there's some news, or I want to put out an opinion on a particular matter. Maybe just look out for that. Generally, it's around 9 p.m. UK. I might drop that if it's a later on sort of situation. Right now, I'm just going to go to bed. And then tomorrow, of course, the Leeds stuff. So, yeah, look out for all of that. Obviously, watch along on Saturday. And then we go again.
Brilliant stuff. Well, guys, make sure you go and subscribe. Links are in description as always. Obviously, big up to everybody that's been watching. And like I said, we're going to move swiftly on to Leeds next. That's the next game. That's the home game at Stamford Bridge. I don't know what midfield we're going to put together for that game.
It's going to be us. It's going to be us.
I do not care. W.
Who's holding?
Who's playing?
Who's
it could be Ziyech and Kalamatan-Odoi, for God's sake. I don't care. Get a W. Get a W. That's it.
I'm eagerly awaiting Tuchel's press conference so he can tell me who is available, if anyone. Obviously, we know Loftus-Cheek is now down as well. We know Kova's isolating. Add that to Jorginho and Kante. I don't even want to talk about it. So there's a lack of midfield. I'm sensing. Maybe Gallagher and Gilmore can illegally just join up with the team and
get some makeup done, look like Jorginho and
put on a couple balaclavas and go with it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
the face mask. Play with the face mask.
Yeah. So make sure you subscribe, guys. Big up your damn selves for the support as always. And yeah, really looking forward to moving to the next game, onwards and upwards. Hopefully, we got a run we need to go on. So big up your damn selves, and yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. Peace.